Whoa! Hello, stream chat, YouTube chat, anybody else who's watching this. We are back again with our Not Great podcast. I think this is episode 7 now. We're up to doing
Episode
doing
7.
these. So we're doing pretty well, keeping up on it, definitely having a real tight schedule around here. Um Definitely been playing a lot together. Justin and I,
Oh,
we're going crazy
totally.
with it. But with me today, obviously, Justin. You want to say hi to everybody? Go ahead and
Howdy, howdy. I'm happy to be back. Seventh episode. I've been dying to get back in the saddle. I have not been sitting back relaxing. Let me tell you, I've been just
deep in the trenches of the Martons.
deep in the trenches of a marathon. But no, I'm happy to be back. I'm happy to see all the or hear all the not even see or hear. Okay, I'm not seeing or hearing anyone just yet, but all the lovely faces out there. I'm happy to be stepping back here. It's always a blast creating these podcasts. Listen, when me and said, I'll tell you, we got synergy. We got synergy. Okay, I, low key.
We're
All
we're
right,
so
don't
in
tell
sync.
anybody. We've just been talking for 2 hours before this podcast. Okay, listen. You think we'd
Whoops.
be prepping for the podcast? Not really. We're just
We had our
talking.
own podcast before we do the podcast. Usually how it goes.
It's somehow, some way, it always ends up that way. But you know what? I think that's just because we have a ton of synergy here, and we love this game. And if anything, we were talking about this game, and also just catching up with each other
Yeah.
in future endeavors, projects, things, and stuff like
What
that.
we've been up
We
to,
we've been up to.
hanging out with the boys, as you could say.
Yes, yes. I mean, which kind of, I guess leads in, right? Everybody's probably
Gonna go
wondering,
straight into our first point.
what have we been up to since release, right? And part of that is we've been playing the game. We have been playing the game. Okay,
Played
I
a
will
lot of
say
Marton.
not as much as I would like. I've had a ton of time to play on that, but we're gonna get into like probably reasons as to why and
I
all
mean,
that stuff
look,
later.
a lot of us been working. I
Yeah,
have job and I have family and things to do. I've had
yeah,
Easter came and went, so Easter I had to go do confirmation and stuff at church
yeah,
because we're engaged and I have to finish that stuff to get married by the church in the future. You know,
yeah,
things to do.
yeah.
Then
All
we got
this.
birthdays, we got trips. I just got off a cruise last week for a week. I was gone all last
Oh my
week.
gosh.
Or was it the week before? I
Sheesh.
don't remember.
We got
It
Mother's
was
Day
recently.
next week. You
Mother's
know what I
Day,
mean?
going to Tampa on Saturday. Like
Oh my
there's
gosh.
a lot of moving parts around here, so we're busy.
Just a lot. Just a lot, you know. So
And
not really
we're
having
still in at 140 hours each.
yes, yes, 140 hours each. That's one thing that's really excited me and I've had a blast with was being able to actually put the time into the game. We had this discussion. Said I would ask me. He's like, how many hours have you put into Arc Raiders, right?
Yeah, I did
Because we
ask.
just wanted to see did marathon really hold up to our expectations, and what did we end up putting as many hours or more?
I was looking at
And
like
well, I
140 hours doesn't sound too much. I've got 4,900 in Destiny. 100 hours is pretty
yeah,
decent, but like,
yeah,
how was Arc Raiders? What would we do? You know,
yeah. Arc ended up being, I ended up having 30 hours at maximum in that game.
and I
It
had
just
about
did not.
60, 63, something like
Yeah,
that.
and I think we were both in alignment where certain areas fell short, right? And it just, it wasn't as in depth of a game as I would have liked it to be. Unfortunately, I still think it's a great game, and I'm not going to
It's
knock the
fun.
original rating that we gave it. I will still stand by that rating, but in terms of like my PvP experience with it, wasn't really the blast. I mean, it wasn't really the best, and just again the in-depth nature about factions. But I'm not here to disparage our creators, okay?
We've already
But we
done
were just
that.
comparing the time in terms of what did we enjoy about marathon. Are we enjoying marathon? And I think the short answer to that is yes, right? And today's episode is going to be a little bit different, right? It's not going to be we said everything we liked. We've always
Yes,
talked about everything we enjoyed about the game and upheld as much positivity with the game as possible. Because we generally were and are still into the experience of what this game is. That being said, now that we've actually had even more playtime, as well as like the play tests that we have done, and now actually getting the full released experience past the actual launch, and now we're able to talk about a lot of what we played, right? For example, I think we're both in the 70s in level range, so
probably
kind of
somewhere
gives you
up
guys
there.
also an idea of like how we've
We're
been
not
playing,
playing
what
as
we've
much
been
as
doing.
Jake or I don't
Yeah.
know at Cross. We have jobs,
Yeah. Yeah, we're not the big time streamers. Not
uh,
yet. Okay.
but we're
If you're a
definitely
network out there.
we're doing a lot of work. We're going in there.
Yeah.
We're putting the hours in at the Lose Everything factory when we can.
Yeah,
Um,
most definitely. Yeah.
but in terms of like how much we've done, I think the best way to put it is like we're working on factions and contracts and stuff. We haven't been able to do what Jake and people that have been playing a lot like that amount of time have been able to do, doing cryo runs and filling the compiler and all
Yeah.
that. I don't know about you. I haven't done a vault yet. I think I've
Yeah.
been
I,
into several vaults. I've been into some. I have not gotten a subroutine out. We did go
listen,
through and get one. I think the first weekend we got in and looted it, but we ran out of time, so we didn't get the extract. We didn't know how the extracts worked at the time.
yeah, yeah. I
So
cryo, I haven't had much time to. I don't know how any of the extractions work. I don't know much of the puzzle system or a lot of the vault system. I've unfortunately haven't had as much time in cryo because it's like sort of you're discussing where it's this idea that, unfortunately we haven't had as much time as Jake or these streamers that like that's their job where they can just put in all this time to just play the game and have normally a crew that also has the same mentality and ability to do so.
getting three
So
together is
I've
hard.
yeah, yeah. So I've like ran a little bit short with being able to experience Cryo Archive, right, to its fullest extent.
Yeah,
The little that I have played, it is hectic. It is a lot of fun.
really cool map.
Um, Really great design. I love it. It's spectacular
I
from
think it feels like the
yeah,
OG trilogy marathon
yeah.
maps.
Oh
That's,
yeah, and
that's what I
then
was telling you earlier.
being able to look out into space too in certain perspectives with like being on the marathon ship itself is really like sick. A lot of the times too, it's like I wanted to stare at a lot of the art and the just the beautiful scenery scapes
They
of
don't really
of
give you the time to
everything.
do it though.
But yeah, I don't really have the time. It's like I had to go in and out, and so I haven't really had the time. To just, but I'm just gonna go in and I'm gonna look at everything, and just be in awe about the entire map.
Yeah,
That being said, a lot of what I played is pretty cool, right? There's a lot more learning experience, and we'll probably get into that we need to do. But again, kudos to Bungie. And another thing is like in terms of the main boss. I haven't yet to fight
I haven't
this
fought it
full
either.
compiler.
I've
I
seen a
have
bit.
watched it.
Yeah,
Yeah. And it does look beautiful. The art style gorgeous. Everything plays in really perfectly. And I think that if I were to rate the game thus far, right? For me I think it's a good 8 out of 10. You know what I mean? It is
I
a
think I think
spectacular
I
game.
also said 8 out of 10. I don't think it was in my recent complaining video, but I think my original script I was like, I think it's an 8 out of 10. Like,
Yeah. It's a
and
solid game. It's
that's not
gorgeous.
too far off the rest of the genre for me. It's
Yeah.
just as an 8 out of 10, I really wanted it to be a 9 out of 10. But
Yeah. Yeah, I think we
we'll get
always
into
want better. Yeah, yeah. We always want better for these games that we enjoy, and it's something that we're extremely passionate about,
it.
And I will never not support this particular game because I generally believe in it. I think it's a fantastic game. It's beautiful. It's
I love
everything
the
we've said
world.
it with.
The lore
We
of the
said about
universe
it.
is
Yeah,
still really cool. I still love
yeah.
the lore bits, the quests and whatnot.
Yeah. And you know, here's another thing I will say too is like clearly a lot of the people who have been playing the game agree because it has been an astounding positive criticism in terms of the people who purchased the
Yeah, the
game.
user reviews are still like really high for confirmed
Really
purchases.
high. I even
Crazy.
checked Xbox the other day. It's still at a 4 stars. You know what I mean? At
Yeah,
4 point something. And so it's spectacular. It's holding up. And with the people that do play it, they do enjoy it. And that is what we want to hear. And so in that regard, really great.
and
That
I
being
think that
said,
proves that there's like we have really good foundation to build off of,
yes.
but unfortunately they didn't stick the landing as hard as we would have liked off rip. But
Yes.
the the building blocks, the starting hours where people are putting in the reviews are generally positive, which I think is pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, which is I think why you know, getting into that, which is why this video is a lot about what we want to see from the game, right?
Mm.
We again, we know we enjoy it. We stick by a lot of what we said. It's an 8 out of 10 game. The visuals are beautiful. The gameplay, the gunplay is solid. I enjoy the freak out of it. The characters are pretty cool and balanced and fun. I haven't really honestly ran into an unbalanced type of character or
Yeah,
a
I've
character
never
where I'm
felt
like,
that one character is like disgustingly
yeah,
broken, except maybe just triage in general. Like triage is really strong if you're doing really poor kits, like free kits. Triage is broken, and if you're in cryo, triage is also broken. So
yeah,
on the far ends of you have no meds, he's a must pick, and on the far end of cryo archive where the res timers are really long, and you're in a lot of PvP, he's also broken there.
yeah,
But
yeah,
that's what you get when you put a medic in the game. You know,
yeah,
you get
yeah,
shot. It's unavoidable.
most definitely. And even then, I mean, to say that like these like super overpowered, it's like I
And
think
but it's
that
not
there's
like
still
I'm
ways
losing the
to
fight
outplay
because they
him,
have a
you
triage.
know?
Usually,
Yeah,
it's more like
yeah,
triage is a must pick because I'm so annoyed that I have to use 47 patch kits on this
yeah,
dire marsh run. We just could have just had a triage and I would have used zero. But
yeah.
that's
I
I agree
I
for the most
agree.
part.
I agree. You know, so you know, there's a lot of things that they're doing right, and so I want to make sure that we address that because I think that in you know we had this I guess discussion and it's something that I think I'll be a little bit transparent with is a lot of people seem to take sometimes criticisms as that we hate the game. Or a lot of people will critique something and therefore that means they hate the game as well.
Yeah,
A lot of what we're going to talk about today, and it's a lot of critiques, and I want, you know, we know that Bungie's in the communities, they're looking around and they're listening to a lot of what the community has to say. And that's also something, as a quick aside, that I want to give a kudos out. They're always updating, they're keeping on track with it, and they're listening to the community. And that is
for better or for
amazing.
worse.
Yeah, for better or for worse.
They're
And
working on it.
you know, to say that is like it's awesome. As a AAA studio, a lot of studios are not doing that and they need to. You could say, yeah, but they have to because it's this type of game and give me all the excuses. Well, at the end of the day, they're still doing it and I want to applaud that. And we need to applaud something like that rather than sort of me us sort of being like, yeah, but they're only doing it because if they don't do it right, then the game's gonna fall apart. Okay, it's like that's as of any game.
Yeah,
So let's make sure that, you know, we keep that in perspective and we give flowers where flowers are due, right? Imagine if I did the same for a game I didn't like and I'm over here just sort of spotting out about it. But at the end of the day, with this game, we want to be very careful to for the audience to know we enjoy the game. And everything we're about to say is constructive criticism. It doesn't mean that we're aligning ourselves with the massive amount of hate that the game had received before, or any people that sort of agreed to sort of hate on the game. But for the sake of the fact that we love this game, we want to make sure that we are doing
doing
justice
our due
by the
diligence
gameplay.
and complaining about
Yeah.
things that should be complained about.
Yeah, doing our due diligence. So you're going to hear a lot of complaints today, but I don't want to misconstrue it. And we do want you guys to know that we are in agreement with this.
Yeah, and
Uh,
we're
uh,
140 hours into the
yeah.
main game, and we've played probably 100 to 200 hours of testing before this, right? So we've
Yeah.
played a lot of the game. Um,
Yeah.
So we're not just coming in with what 1.0 was like, but like the perspective of we played the betas and the early access and stuff that was closed, and we saw some of this stuff coming, and maybe it was stuff that we complained about back then that they just didn't change for 1.0. And some of that stuff is
Yeah,
things that we had concerns about. But now that we're at
yeah.
1.0 and the game is where it is, we're going to complain about it again. you know, that's just how it
Yeah,
is.
it's it's the way how things work, right? And again, you want to see a game do better, you're gonna have to critique it, no matter as much as you love it. And proof, we're not shills, okay? So one of the things that I guess we'll get into the critiques, right? One of the stuff that we wanted to sort of uh talk about was, and something that you had mentioned, because Sato, by the way, a little plug, Sato put out a video sort of talking about a lot of the things that he wanted to see fixed in Marathon and sort of his perspective on that. And this essentially, this podcast is going to be a deeper exploration, a
Yeah.
lot of like, I guess, back and forth, but we were in a lot of agreement with what we think needs to sort of be adjusted. And we're putting that out there. So, Sandra talked about it before, but one of the things we discussed was like shields. And I mean, I guess that, it's a lot of like Sato's point, so I'm going to make sure I pass this over to you. Let me know your thoughts on the shields in terms of getting into to marathon.
So let's talk about it from the most basic point, right? Which is there's two things for the most part you're trying to balance when you're balancing PvP, and that's how fast your weapons kill and how much health you have. I guess you could say how much damage your guns do and how much health you have, and that's what brings about your time to kill, right? Now, I've always been a proponent of lower time to kill is better. Um, the average consumer will have more times where they outthink somebody and get rewarded for getting the first shot off, and getting kills in those kind of games than getting lucky or outgunning somebody in a game with a really long time to kill where you have to outperform them the entire time. And I think sponsor kits, which we'll get to later, the sponsor kit mode has been kind of popular. I don't know how popular it is, realistically. I don't know player numbers. I don't know what distribution is. I've played it like twice, but people on at least Twitter, YouTube comments, other social media have been talking it up, saying this is great, love this mode. This should be the default mode. I'm like, that's weird, that's lame. But a lot of them have said specifically that they like that when they load in, everybody dies fast, and they're not guessing about who has what shields. There's not purple shields everywhere. You can go in with an overrun, and you can. And I think that just lends more credence to my point that for most people, lower time to kill is better, and that shields should not have been a thing in the game. I think I've been saying this since before the game came out, like literally like 3 years now or whatever. That I don't think the game should have armor, shields, bonus health, things that increase time to kill are just generally bad, in my opinion. Um, I think if you do have something like that increases the time to kill, then you have to have things like the waster that are a middle ground that like neutralize the massive health benefit of a purple shield by letting a gray shield one shot a purple shield. Like, there's no other way to make the game balanced and letting them. So the more that we nerf things like the waster and things like those, the more prominent shields become in determining your fight, rather than your planning, your positioning, your ambush potential, you whatever you brought in, whatever gun you brought in. The bully's not going to outgun somebody with a purple shield when you're in a gray shield if they also have a bully. Probably already lost before you fought the guy. So I think in essence, this just proved my theory that we should get rid of shields. Just set a normal health amount as the health for the game and let people go at it. Like
Yeah.
that's it. And I don't care if you want to split it like 100 HP and 40 shields and we still have shield charges and things like that. Or if we just want to set everything to the purple shield value, I think that's too much. Um, but if you want the bar to look like that, maybe so you can split it up and still have both heals be important, you can do that. I don't care. But the time to kill shouldn't be longer than maybe green shields at most.
Yeah.
That's my take.
Yeah, no, I know a lot of people might sort of be, it might be jarring for them to hear, okay?
I'm sure.
But I personally I agree. I think that one of the things that you had mentioned, I remember when we originally talked about this, was this idea of like you want it to feel like a survival game, right? And I agree with that statement 110%. Like part of the beauty of an extraction game, and I think that, I mean, if you were a very casual extraction shooter player, that's in terms of how would you say, like our creators, you're gonna notice that there is you're gonna notice that there isn't that like push on that survival feeling in terms of like maintenance with your character or
Yeah,
whatnot,
because
right?
they've been doing that, and I think that was a really strong point of Arc Raiders. That feeling.
Yeah. And it's meant to be casual. But with this game, especially in the universe of Marathon, Marathon is always this idea of like you're stacked against the odds and you're sort of meant to feel like, oh my gosh, like what's going on? How am I going to survive this? And that's the beauty, again, going into extraction shooters, that it's you're surviving. That's the whole reason of like a PvE portion, is that you're meant to survive those sorts of fights, right? And you're meant to be back against the wall. You have the elements sort of to worry about with these enemy AI or an enemy player that you could either team up with or kill. And that's one of those things that I really love about extraction shooters, is that layer of depth. And I feel like with, like you're saying, these purple shields, there's a lot of times where you run into this sense of one, safety, when you're the person with the purple shield, and you kind of have less, but also when you're as a player, you're like, okay, a dude with purple shield, there's like this imbalance of survivability where it's just like I know I'm gonna die. It's just a guaranteed outcome normally. Like if you
Even
don't
if you
have
brought
purple
in
shields
really
to
good
match it,
gear and he brought
yeah,
in a rinky dink bully with no mods, probably still
yeah,
lost. Yeah, it feels awful.
yeah, and yet for like blue shield, green, I know I can do something with a white kit. But if I'm going in with white kit and I'm going against a purple shield, there's like nothing I can do. I'm just guaranteed two guys have purple shields, we're dead. Like
Yeah.
there's no survivability about that, because it's like by the time I crack that guy, his teammates now rotating to me, and it took almost my whole magazine to crack this guy, and so now I'm out of it. Now, okay, let's say I have an extended mag. Well, now it takes a couple more bullets to lay out the guy, and still, if I'm getting pushed, I only have enough time to crack the other guy. But by this point, this guy popped his shield, and now he's pushing me.
And he
So
threw a
it's
grenade at
yeah, or
you.
he's throwing a grenade at you. And that's one of those things where it's kind of disappointing, because it cheeses that level of survivability that I don't really like. Like I want to know that if I do have a purple shield and I'm running up against a dude with a white or green, I should still be afraid in that fight. There
Yes.
should be a level of, okay, I need to take my time. And one of the things is that we talk oftentimes about like Tarkov, but Tarkov's right. That's the grandfather of it, right? I mean, like, I mean, granted, we have the division. Dark Zone was first, but Tarkov really defined it separately as a genre, and really put in its talons with what everybody likes. And so in Tarkov, I know even if I have a beefy kit and I go to push somebody, there's still a guarantee. There's no guarantee that I'm gonna full win. I'm gonna try it, but I could just straight up lose because this guy, he's legged me. He hit me in the head, right, and I insta die. And that's one of those things where it's it's super disappointing to be in those certain level of fights, right? And I want that experience of where if I have a purple shield, I know I'm not safe. I know that it's not a guarantee that when I get into in a fight with people, I'm not gonna win. I know, I'm not gonna be so pompous. So I really agree that we need to get rid of shields. I'm 110%. I would be okay with that. Or if not, you need to make these purple shields still even less, I think, health. And it's
Yeah.
not too because I ran into a lot of purple shields and lost. Like I've had experiences where, and I was just telling Anthony here, Sato, that when we were fighting, like I've gotten this guy, I beat this guy at green shield and he had purple. I killed him, and he was calling me names, and I wore it like a badge of honor. It was fantastic, and he was so mad at me. And I wasn't camping. I just straight up, we were just fighting, and I just outgunned the guy. Um, so those sort of perspectives are still there, and it's not like a, oh well, dude, I just die every time I see but it's like I've noticed, being the person with a purple shield
it
and
doesn't, it's
being
not
a
enjoyable.
person,
Be on the other
yeah,
side.
it removes it. And one of the things that we had discussed, I remember in our last podcast, and one thing that I really hope that they revert back to, like pushing into that level of survivability, right? Getting rid of those shields, I think, is one thing. And another thing is, like, I really do think that having that level of persistent zone where our timer is based off of an O2 timer would be really cool. That was a something that, if you didn't know, back when
Leaked
the
way
game
back
originally,
when.
yeah, it was leaked with Tom Henderson. The article's still up. He had leaked that one of the gameplay elements was an O2 system. That the zones for each map was supposed to be persistent, and that you could be there longer than your initial 25 minutes, but you had to bring in O2 canisters or find
Or
them
loot
within
them
the
or steal
world
them.
in order to be like in be looting longer, as well as it affected your health. It was that part of, like, in Tarkov where you eat or you're needing to drink.
Yeah,
It was that level of survivability where we had to live that through that particular element. And I think that would have been really cool because one of the things they talked about was, like, when you got shot, like if you got shot in the O2 canister, it could cause your character to have concussed, like this, like you think of almost like a little bit of a blur or something, right? You get concussed for a moment, and I think that would have played really nicely in this level for an extraction shooter, something similar to Tarkov. And it would have been just enough, right? You got the healing, and then you just have O2. And I think just having those two sort of perspectives would have been really cool. Because then, let's say you do win the fight, you didn't bring an O2 canister. Oh no, guys, we got to cut the run short. We need to hit a teleporter, right? We got to extract. Because if not, we're kind of screwed.
I just
I'm
don't
going
go
to
in there thing I
die
don't
because
like.
I didn't bring O2. I couldn't find O2. And I thought that perspective would be really cool. And before I pass this over too, is another thing that I think would have been really cool would have been, like, imagine that areas that were unlocking, and the deeper you go, the more O2 you would have needed, right? To
That would
go
be
into like
cool.
these particular areas. I think that sort of level would have been really awesome. I could imagine, like, a a how would you say, like, a there's this door that's locked, hidden bunker somewhere, and you go into this bunker, and the deeper you go into this bunker, the more you have, how would you say, you would have to use your O2, because the deeper you go, the more you want to explore, but the more it starts draining your time. I
Right.
think that would have been a really cool element. But I did ramble a little bit about it, so I want to pass it over to you. What are your thoughts on sort of that implementation for the game?
So I think one of my issues with the modern field of extraction is that they went out and they wanted to be an extraction shooter first. Whereas games like Tarkov and Ark and Hunt Showdown were making their own game beforehand, and then the extraction elements kind of came in naturally to complement the game they were making, not built around being an extraction shooter and being hard, be hard.
Yeah,
They were trying to make an experience that was immersive or just whatever it wanted to be beforehand, and then they put in the other things. So Tarkov was supposed to be an RPG, and they just decided it was PvP, right? And like, what if we made it persistent? So you get your weapons and your gear, and you leave, and you keep what you got, and you can lose it when you die. That was the whole thing. They're just like, what if we did that on top of the RPG? Hunt was a third person action game for a long time. Um, you can look up the footage if you want to see it. It's funny looking. But you can see a lot of where the game came from and it's originally like sourced its DNA from. And then they made it first person. Like, what if we made a game that's about you and a buddy hunting demons, and then you throw PvP in there? And by then, maybe no, they were making this at the same time Tarkov beta came out, I think. So it just naturally at the same time they were like, okay, so like, what if you're buying stuff to go in and fight these demons and players, and then you lose it when you come out? But the game itself was made beforehand. Ark was supposed to be a looter shooter, right? I think it was supposed to be like a Destiny esque game, or Borderlands esque. And then they pivoted to making it an extraction shooter. But it was supposed to be PVE. You're fighting AI. Let's make the AI interesting. That's why the Ark is so interesting, I think, and compelling as enemies. They were designed as the only enemies for a while, and then they added on the extraction shooter stuff to tighten it up and make it feel more immersive. Because in most of these games, if you were playing these games offline in a PvE mode, Hunt would still work in an offline mode. Tarkov would still work. That does work in PvE. We know it works and it's fun. Arc in a PvE mode, I don't think would be as fun. I'm not super hot on fighting the Arc that much, but plenty of people would love to play Arc PvE. I mean, they do, which in the non PvP lobbies, right? You just shoot AI and you loot and you scavenge and you build things. It works. It works on its own. But I don't think they did that when they made Marathon. They made Marathon saying we are making an extraction shooter first and foremost. And I think that's the wrong way to do it. So when they ended up making it, what we got is less survival elements because they focused on the shooting of other players. They focused on the PvP first instead of the world first. And it sounds like when Ziegler got signed on, they did change up and scrap a bunch of old stuff and restart the project and reoriented whatever they were doing. And I think they left a lot of that original grit they were gonna pull from the original series, like the auction system. An injury system would have been really interesting. Like we have things like toxin and hack and EMP, and it's like those are fine, but it's really like two different statuses. Um, Three of them apply the same mechanical debuff, and then there's your abilities are not or you can't don't cool down, right? Which
Yeah.
is like whatever. Hack is interesting because it kind of gives you a flashbangy effect with the digital stuff, but there's so few ways to apply most of these. You're generally not getting them unless you're really messing up. Um, but like in most other games, like if you get shot, you might bleed, and that just happens. You bleed, you bleed. You get shot and you bleed. So we lose a lot of the standard stuff that just kind of makes you feel like you're existing in the game. And then there's the extract, which I forgot to mention before, but man, I'm so bothered by the extracts. Um, when we played the closed test the first time, and I realized that all the extracts were the teleporters. There was no other extract in the game but a teleporter. I was like, okay, it's a little lame because like every other extraction shooter we have is kind of is it's really diegetic with the extracts, right?
Yeah.
The least diegetic is arc raiders because they are like we built all these elevator shafts up, and it's like who built the elevator shafts? How long they've been there? But like, come on, it's pretty believable. You could sell me on the elevator, but you got the elevators
Yeah.
and you got the raider hatches. If you go to Tarkov, obviously you've got a million and a half cracks in the wall that you're creeping out of, right? You're maybe taking a boat out, you're taking a car. You've got the co-op extracts where you got to have a scav with you, and you got to work your way through like a ceasefire zone. Um, you got the flare extracts where you use a flare and they think you're friendly, so you leave. And then hunts like taking carriages out. Um, the teleporter doesn't do it for me. Like it makes it so annoying to try to extract as like a solo player or duos and the trios or just like leaving in general. Just you have to set up a giant beacon. Everyone knows you're leaving. Everybody wants to PvP when you're leaving. You got to sit there and wait for it, and then there's a giant bubble, and you got to sit in the bubble, and you got to watch the whole animation play out. Whereas in most of the other ones, it's like, okay, Arc Raiders, you do set off an alarm when you hit the elevator button for like 3 seconds, and then that's it. If the guy isn't in the building 50 feet away to see you hit the button, No one knows, right? No one
Yeah,
knows that you're extracting. If you take a raider hash, no one knows you're leaving. Tarkov, there's like maybe one extract where people will know you're leaving if you do a flare.
yeah,
And even then, they're not going to see the flare for 95% of the time. So the stressful part usually isn't extracting. It's usually pretty safe to extract in an extraction shooter because if you load in and you're like, I don't want to take the risk, I want to leave and save my stuff, that's supposed to be a pretty valid and easy thing to do, in my opinion. Making it really hard to extract by setting up a giant blue laser with an alarm blaring across the entire map that everybody can see, and it takes longer for the thing to spawn than it takes for somebody to run across the entirety of Dire Marsh is a little overkill.
yeah,
Uh, Now, for the boss extract, where it spawns the boss, and you're taking the UESC stuff, sure, that can be loud. That makes sense. Why is there not a single extract in the game that doesn't involve a high danger? You gotta put your life on the line to leave. You just walk out of the map. What are they gonna do? It kills you because you're in the zone. If you just go out of the zone, what does it do? You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
the UESC wipes the zone you're in. But if you
yeah,
extracted by walking off the map, they wouldn't destroy the connection, so you technically wouldn't
yeah.
die.
I think as a retort to the teleporter idea, I agree to an extent. Here's the extent is that the reason why I think a teleporter would work is because a lot of times in marathon, like if you take the campaign in consideration,
There's a
it
lot of
was
teleporters.
always yeah, he was always just teleported.
Yeah, but that doesn't justify why it's a giant blue laser in the sky with an alarm blaring across the map and it takes so long to warm up. Why can't you just walk
Yeah.
up and just leave?
Yeah, that's true. And that's where I'm like, that's why it's like, to an extent, it's like, okay, well, I understand like the justification for the teleporter. Because like, even a lot of times it was from planet to ship and ship to planet and ship to
Hmm.
ship. The security guard was being teleported throughout. And so then where the extent of where the agreement comes from is like, yeah, I think it could be more quiet. And now again another deviation is that I understand also the element sometimes of pushing the PvP for extracting in certain aspects.
Sometimes it doesn't have to be all of
It's
them. you know.
yeah, because like in Arc, right? Like their way of doing it is that the elevator goes look, 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 and it's this huge noise. And you're just hearing it just going off like crazy.
Yeah.
So it's attracting like the arc to for you to fight as well as, players knowing that you're extracting. And I think that they just leaned into the more casual sense of it because even in you think of like maybe DMZ from Call of Duty, their take on it. They use
It's been
sort
so
of it
long, I don't
was a
remember.
flare. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
like a flare that goes up and it's like this big red smoke that's just pluming in the air and somebody knows you're extracting. Um and then there's quite a bit of noise that will attract the enemy AI. And then in Delta is more kind of like Arc Raiders, but a mix between Arc and DMZ, where it does have like this green smoke of the location of where the extract is, but it doesn't make noise except for like the dam section. There's some that do, but most of them don't make noise and it's kind of like a quiet getaway. So I do agree. I think there needs to be variation
Yeah.
with the level of extraction for sure.
But I feel like there should
Um,
always be a quiet option
yeah, and I
because
think
that's
that like
generally how people would leave the map. Because the hard
maybe
part's
yeah,
getting the loot and getting the things to want to leave. But if you queue up and you're just like, actually, I don't want to be here right now, I'm just going to leave. Why
yeah,
can't you? Why can't you just
and
leave?
it'd be kind of cool as a fixable option. Is like you can still do some of those teleporters, but then have those secret extracts, right? Where maybe they're not even marked on the map, or it takes people time to learn the
Hmm.
map. But those extractions like have maybe they have how would you say, like it's a teleporter like built in a building, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it's like a frame or something that you could just walk into but you have to like you need to
You have
maybe
to
a
know where
key,
it
almost
is.
like a Raider
Maybe
hack,
you have
right?
to turn the
Yeah.
power on somewhere in the
Yeah,
compound
something that sort
because
of adds the layer of like, okay, well, I do have to work for this still, but I can get out quietly if I have the map knowledge and the willpower to.
yeah.
And I think that that would be cool. And I think that's definitely a happy medium. And like I said, I do agree because sometimes it is annoying for people, especially that try and extract camp, just sit there. Like we the other day I played like this past Monday, there was players trying or no, not Monday, it literally yesterday. They were trying to sort of bait us into getting killed. So we there was an extraction north relay. We're
Okay.
doing perimeter, we're doing a mission. And there was a team waiting in this like that middle building just before you
Yeah.
get to North Relay, and they hit the extract on this left hand side so
Hmm.
that way they can try and bait us, and they were staring down at the extract waiting for us to push in and trying to extract camp.
We can see you,
Lucky thing
buddy.
I caught him, but I mean I am a recon, but also I just caught him with my eyes. I seen him and I started beaming him, and then they instantly like were pulling back and we were able to like sneak extract out of there. I just don't understand the point of that. But they were trying to extract campus, right?
And
And
that's the
so
thing. By
that
making it
level,
so loud and so obnoxious and so long to do,
yeah.
you promote extract camping.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which
So
what are we
that is
doing?
true.
What
That
is
is
up,
true.
dude?
I do think that there needs to be variation in that. And I do agree with the level extract. And I do agree that, a lot of these extraction games, a lot of times it was originally designed as something else and then
Because
led into an extraction shooter.
the term
And
extraction shooter didn't exist until after Tarkov was out for a while.
yeah.
So we're like,
Yeah,
we gotta call this something else because it's totally weird. Um,
Yeah, and then this became, an extraction shooter as like right out the gate, right? And
mhm.
its inspiration. And there is some change that they had done with the game. And some changes that I wish kind of weren't met, but I understand a little bit as to why they sort of made those changes. That being said, I do think we do have some comments, and I do want to get to them because it's going to lead into a point of
Let's see.
mine.
All right. What's up,
Alpha
Alpha?
Silverback man, he's back. We love him every time he's here. He says Friday night 15K concurrent players on Steam right now. We need huge changes. Free to play is will just flood hackers. True. Does Sony give Bungie the time to dig themselves out? 3.6 billion sunk cost. Now there's I think certain layers to that that I think we can answer. First off, 15 players concurrent on Steam. Steam is a good
A
way
large
to
chunk of it
temperature
right
check,
now. Yeah.
but it's not the only.
Well, it is a large chunk. I think they confirmed of the player base of all the accounts made. I think the majority was Steam. So
Well,
we are the
but
bigger
remember
player base.
when there was we were at I think it was like 40 or 30K. They
Hmm.
had came out with the daily active users, and the daily active users, though we were only at 30 something K, it was at a total, again, these are active users, people coming back, was at 345,000. So there's a lot of numbers that are I think missing there. And or we got 20%. And like it was also came out 20% in Canada. Another 20% chunk was from China as well. So I don't know if there's numbers we're not getting from China and its popularity, and we don't have all the console numbers currently. So it is a good way to test, but it's also like this game is bigger than just Steam. And it was confirmed, or Paul Tassi had said before the daily active users came out that it was all their player base was predominantly PC. That being
Hmm.
said, it's seeming like okay, well, we're still getting a lot of console players that are on PlayStation over
Yeah,
Xbox,
but
but
the issue is 15K is a bit rough on Steam for us right
most
now.
definitely,
And I think we know there's like an issue with the long term enjoyment people are having, and I think that starts with the shields for me. God damn it! But
yeah,
I think in the video we're gonna talk about this a bit more, but just a lot of things where like Bungie sold the game as a lot of experiencing the world and build crafting and creating your own experience. That's not what they're doing. So they got a lot
Yeah,
of things to
and
fix, but I think it is something that is generally fixable. They've got the building blocks. The guns are cool. The maps are cool. I think the maps could use some work. If they just doubled the size of Dire Martian Perimeter, I think it'd work
yeah,
out for me personally. But that sounds harder to do than most of the stuff I would say. But
yeah.
yeah, and
Like
I
I
think
said,
Sony wants the game to succeed now.
with players, most definitely, we do want more, right? We do want more than 15K. It's about 15K every day is what we've been getting
Hmm.
consistently on Steam. That is, again, and one of the things that I'll tell everybody is, well, we don't know the console player base still. Until I get see those numbers, it's a lot of hearsay, right? But what we can talk about is right what we're seeing now, right? And we are seeing the 15K, and that could be better for sure. Now everybody keeps throwing it, yes, 3.6 billion sunk cost. A lot of times when studios or people are buying certain companies, there's a certain level of understanding that there's an instant ROI, right? There's not going to be an instant return on investment right away. And listen, Sony had a bunch of ability, right, to look at the finances of what Bungie
Bungie was
was
doing.
doing and the amount that they were outputting. So a lot of people will say, for example, well, Sony, they tricked Sony. They tricked Sony. They sold them on all this stuff. I think to a degree because they had all those several incubation projects. That being said, it was well known that they were in the red because they had that ability to look at their financial records. How do we know this? Well, Microsoft had came out saying that they didn't want to buy Bungie back because that they said that they had a high burn rate, meaning that they were burning all that cash, that they were spending all this money, that they had to be in the red, and that was bothersome for them that they did not want to buy Bungie back. They says no, we don't want it. And
Hmm.
so Sony then made that cost. So us knowing that they made the cost knows that Sony's a big boy, okay? And they know the reason as to why they're sort of perching this. And they understand that Bungie's a legacy company that does come with some really great talent and some good IP. So that being said, because I don't want to make it too long on that, is that we know that they're not expecting a super quick ROI. Now, have they closed companies for less? Sure thing. They closed companies that have been doing really well. They've closed companies that have did poorly, right? So there's no telling where they're looking to sort of trim that cost. So we officially really don't know. But Sato had mentioned something as well, is that, or actually, it wasn't Sato, sorry, it was Alpha Silverback. It says Tassie said the game was restarted from scratch at least 3 times. In the military, they call that mission, I can't say that word. What does it say?
Mission creep. Mission creep.
Oh,
I haven't
okay.
heard the term, but I believe it. But that's probably the more concerning thing for me is that I actually do believe that they probably did scrap and redo it from 3 times because for a game that was workshopped since 2018, I think was when Forsaken came out, that they moved a team over to start concepting.
Hmm.
It's a pretty small game. This game is like 20 gigs, dude. Like
Yeah,
this game is
yeah,
small. We got
yeah,
4 maps, what, five shells, 6 shells. We got 6 shells
something like that.
and a rook, um, and a couple of cutscenes, a couple of animations for the AI guys.
Yeah,
Um,
which we knew was like
that's
sort of
that's
done
that's a little rough.
recently.
That's I mean yeah,
Yeah,
but that's a little rough for if you think like 8 years, like 8 years of dev.
yeah,
That's probably more than they had to make all of Destiny 1,
yeah.
and certainly all of Destiny 2.
And
And you'd think
we're
maybe we'd get a game with I'm surprised to get a game less than like 70 gigs. You know what I mean? In terms of
most
maps
definitely.
alone,
Yeah,
I can't believe we have so few maps. Um, I would expect to have few runners, like really detailed runners. The runners I think are fine. But I think it goes to show that they've changed what the concept is quite a few times. And I
Yes,
think that
I
original
agree.
leak that we got from and the original Vidoc about how dark and grungy the world was going to be. Is there a compiler over in the corner? They were really thinking about having the four everywhere. I can't imagine how many four designs have probably been scrapped getting ready for
Yeah,
this because there's no way
I
they started this out. We're like, yeah, we're not going to have the four in this game. Actually, you know,
most definitely. Most definitely. I'm in full agreement. I mean, me and Zeta were just talking about this. Yes, I do believe it also, I'm in agreement that it has been scratched 3 times, right? Now, it is disappointing, right, to hear of something like this. And now we know why the game is in the state that it's in, right? And there's also a huge portion, right? So Sony buys them. We knew that they had several, about 7 or so incubation projects
hmm
running in the background where it should not have been. And all this point is that there was a lot of mismanagement.
they got
Mismanagement from
COVID boomed.
from Christopher Barrett, mismanagement hugely there, Mr. Twister, I like to call him, is playing
Oh
Twister with
no,
his employees. But in obviously that's super wrong, and that's going to add a level of distraction as well as inconsistency with your team because you're over here sexually harassing them.
yeah.
So there's that level, and then you also had the level of Pete Parsons where they wanted to be a multi-studio company, but they were just pumping out and pumping out and pumping out into these incubation projects with no real and like return on no real ROI on that, right? Like they're doing these projects, but a lot of them were just going nowhere. And I think it's because they're just building such small teams to develop this, and you were spreading too thin your team when they should have been just focusing Destiny and just focusing personally on Marathon. Like these two should have always been
Maybe gummy
the two
bears.
focused.
Maybe they could
Not
have done three, but
yeah, and not just like, 300 on Marathon and then like having all these other squads creating these projects that never seen the light of the day, except Project Gummy Bears now that got picked up. So we do know that there was a mismanagement of where they should have been putting time in. So I want people to make sure that you know that it's not the creative heads, it's not the people that aren't really interested in the game, it's the people that
Pete
unfortunately are
Parsons.
managing them, right? And yeah, it's Pete Parsons. A lot of that really fell on his helm because this dude
He's
was
in
again
charge.
investing the money and running the company in the red when he should have. And that's why we had a lot of a loss of people. And then now add in COVID. So a lot of things sort of now pushed it. So now we know that the game was being developed and it had 3 times that it was scrapped. This is true. God, we know, right? We had the leak with Tom Henderson. We
Mhm.
had the Vidoc, which was very different um, before what we got with Joe Ziegler.
Yeah,
Now we
I
know that
wish we
Joe
could have
Ziegler,
seen what the artifacts were going to be.
yeah.
All of that jazz would have been so cool.
Exactly. And now we know that Joe Ziegler took it head in 2024 or when that Vidoc was released.
Yeah,
So
that
in
was like 2024,
2023.
2023, something like that.
Yeah. So and that's near the end of 2023. So we know that he picked up. So he literally had just about 2 years of development time to shape up whatever was going to be released in literally because remember they're still pushing for that September deadline.
Now, for a 1.5, 2 year time frame, I think that makes more sense for what we ended up getting for the release of the game. This
Exactly.
feels like a game that they spent 2 years on.
Exactly. And it's the only part that we can
We
applaud,
can
right? Like
judge. We
because
can't judge the
listen.
rest.
Yeah, because he did come in with the probably a lot of mismatched design and it's like, okay, well, what do we work with? What does this team know and how do we develop in what they know? Use their strong suits. A lot of that strong suit comes from, okay, well, we're very familiar with Destiny, how would you say, mechanics. So
Gunplay,
notice a lot of
movement,
these
speed.
characters play similar to these Destiny type of characters. We know weapons, we have familiarity with weapons, so they knew a level of design that the team was comfortable designing. So this is why there are some similarities to the game's abilities and certain things that we feel. And this is why the game feels and what it feels like. They had a 2 year time span to turn around whatever. So in Joe
Rough.
Ziegler's sense, bravo on putting that together and coming out with something that had very high reviews and is a good game, but just needs better adjustment.
Yeah,
And
it's a
now,
tight experience,
exactly,
but it's not perfect.
exactly. So ultimately, I understand for people out there that a lot of this seems gloom. Okay, a lot of things in terms of the game and the direction and how is it that they spent 200 million and all this, and it all seems scary. But what I will say is that try not to fret, right? And give constructive criticism and make sure your voice is heard. But let's not hate on a lot of the people that were in this development trying to figure this out. A lot of people do as they're told, and were doing the best that they had in terms of direction that they were given. Because a lot of that lays on the hands of the director and the CEO and having that collaborative environment. And we don't know that level of collaboration that they were having or where Christopher Barrett's head was.
Hmm.
So I don't want anybody to sort of sound the alarms that this is absolutely horrible and this is going to fall apart and I think
Look,
that they should fail. Listen.
on the one hand,
Yeah.
have you gotten $40 worth out of the game? I think so.
Yeah.
I think I got
Yeah,
$40
most
out of
definitely.
it like 100 hours ago, but that's
Yeah,
me personally. I spent the same amount of money on Ark, and I've played less than half of
exactly.
the of
there's
Ark
there's
Raiders.
two
So,
levels. There's still a lot
and
of
I'm not mad
depth
about
to
either.
this game
So,
compared to the other game, right? And
yeah.
there's still a level of fun value from both these games, to your point. And yes, you did get that level of $40 price tag, and we're gonna get more and for free.
Hmm.
So I want to say that let's not sound the alarm and let's not be doom and gloom. And I'm going to ask people out there to have a semblance of faith. Now, faith is right where you're believing in what you don't see, what you don't know, right? I didn't know, right? There was a lot of people betting against this game originally. As soon as the game was even mentioned, it was an extraction shooter back in 2022, I think, was when it was mentioned that they were doing Project Goliath, and then it was leaked that it was going to be extraction shooter. So there was a lot of time in between that where everybody was kind of hating on it, right? They seen the trailer, they liked it, but there was still a huge amount of hate that the game was getting because it was an extraction shooter itself. My point is that in all that negativity, I gave a little mustard seed of hope, mustard seed of faith that the game was going to come out, really well. And the game did come out good, and it wasn't a complete train wreck. It's not Concord. It's not High Guard. It literally passed that threshold, and even with its positive reviews from users, like people playing the game, even reviewers themselves, everybody's singing high praise. And this is a game that still could be adjusted to what we want. So part of that is having that little hope and making sure that you're letting the studio know what you want out of this game and what you're hoping for. And make sure that it's keeping in the vein of what an extraction shooter is, what things can fit and feel good for this particular game. Not that it needs to be a battle royale. Okay, that doesn't help. I
The
think
classic.
that those are things that we want to have. And I know it's rambly and I know it's preachy and I know there's a lot of people that are going to probably be in the comments and hate the fact that I'm over here sitting and having faith and call it copium. But what happened to the days that we see a game and we have hope for something, even if it's like, oh well, I don't know how it's going to turn out, but I'm hoping it's good. Like, we don't even have that anymore. Let's stop with the cynicism and being so cynical about the game, so negative, and let's just let it be and let's give constructive criticism rather than hate. That being said, that gets into our topic, thoughts on the economy of the game. Sad, I know you
I
had
talked
a
a lot
lot
about
of
this,
thoughts on
so
this.
I'll start off with my
Be a
my
little brief,
general
sure.
stuff here. If you missed the everything wrong with marathon video, um, so the economy I think is incredibly anti-player. So in Tarkov, which I think is already considered a very difficult game, the player economy works in a way where if you sell something for its best value to the stores, you are paying or you're earning half of what it costs to buy that item at best. Sometimes it's a little bit less if you go to a different person and you're trying to make money with that person and make them happy or something, right? You'll sell it for a loss, but you can expect to get half the value of the item. So if I take out some guy's gun and I sell that, and I find another guy who has a similar gun and sell that, now I can buy that gun back in theory. Or say I'm playing a couple games and I'm looting a couple of guns that I like, and I'm taking them out, and I just got a ton of these guns. I've out of space. I can confidently sell 8 of those guns and have take the money for 4. Like that's a reasonable thing to save on the space for the most part. Um, and then you can sell it in the player market for more, but that's besides the point. In Marathon, if I buy an M77, I buy it for like 3K and it sells for like 800, which is like a fifth. Everything sells for a fifth for the most part. All your meds sell for a fifth. Every gun sells for a fifth. Attachments sell for a fifth. Shields, backpacks, all that stuff sells for a fifth. You need to sell 5 purple backpacks to buy 1 purple backpack.
That's crazy.
It's ridiculous. I can sell
Yeah.
1 purple backpack and I can't buy 2 green backpacks. That's probably the bigger thing for me. Like,
Yeah.
it is so expensive to buy a purple that if you loot it off somebody and take it and you sell it, you should earn a sizable reward for that can then fund multiple mid-tier runs. But instead, you can't sell one of these and run a single all green kit. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
you
No,
can hardly afford
it's
a
ridiculous.
green backpack. Is crazy.
Yeah.
But
I,
imagine your vault right now and all the guns you have in there that you're hoarding for Cryo Archive. Right now, if you sold all those guns, you might be able to buy a waster if you're lucky. Um, but what if you could sell all those guns and you had enough money to buy half of those guns back? Would you consider selling them throughout the week to keep getting more guns if you knew you were going to make probably, I don't know, 100K off the guns alone instead of 10K off of all your guns?
yeah.
It's a ridiculous amount of value that you don't have, and the rest of the economy doesn't make up for it. Data cards don't keep up, unfortunately. They're great early game, I think. I still like the data cards on premise. They don't keep up at double value. Like, who's waking up finding a 25 credit data card going, whoop de doo, can't wait to go to cryo this weekend? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if you pick
Yeah.
up money items, if you find a couple of money items is the first thing. You have to find the ones that you can stack up to bring them out, because bringing out one of them is $180. And don't forget, a gun is 1,000 on the cheap end for the bully. You
Yeah.
need 10 green items to get the bully. And then if you're getting purple items, which take up 2 slots, are super rare, they sell for 4K, which means you still can't buy a waster with it. But you can get half of a purple backpack. So if you get 2 of those, you can buy 1 purple backpack.
Oh
And
man.
so, like, you're sitting here and you're like, oh, I'm going to make an expensive loadout. I'm going to bring in purples. Then you run cryo, and then you get out of cryo, and you're doing all this stuff in cryo. And you're like, I'm going to try and make money. But if you're not running the vault, and you're just like looting the map for money, if you don't like get the compiler trace, you're making like maybe 10K in a run, 20 if you're lucky, and you drop your grenades and you drop your ammo and you drop your meds and you're picking up money items instead. You might make back 20% of the loadout.
Yeah.
Whereas in
I,
games like Tarkov, you play one game and you loot a couple of rinky dink items and shove it up your butt and sell it in the flea market, and you can make your whole kit back.
yeah. One of those things that I definitely will say is in agreement to that too is like the schemas, right? We were talking about this idea like
Schemas.
we get these things and the guns are still full price. They're very expensive. I can get like a Mizraya thing and I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to try and get it because maybe the schema gives me something special. And in reality, right, all it really gave us was it's still the same amount of price, and now I just can buy that white item, and it's like, oh,
You can
okay,
buy 3 Misrayas. My favorite, I
yeah,
got a Retaliator schema, which is this machine gun that you can buy from Arachne at level 1, So now I can buy 5 of those. Even if in case I go over on the 8 per day of whites that I
Yeah,
can get, or the 7 per day of the greens and the 5 per day of the blues, I can buy
yeah,
5 schema ones.
yeah. No, like that. That to me, I think is definitely needs work, right? And one of the
Yeah,
things that we talked about in terms of economy as well that you had touched on, I believe in your video and even now
go played it.
earlier, was just the weapons, right? Like the
Yeah.
weapon variety that we could purchase through the store is very minimal to none.
Hmm. And that
And
might be
I,
one of the big killers. Like
yeah,
for most of the people that are dropping off of the game, it might be a
yeah,
big concern that one, with the economy, they don't have any money to buy kits anyways. But two, what are they going to buy? Even if you do have 200,000 credits, all you can buy is an M77 and a waster. That's it. That's all
yeah,
that's in the store. No wonder you're running
yeah.
the same shit over and over. You can't buy anything else. It's a waster
No.
meta because the only gun in the game is the waster. If Bungie sold me circuit breakers, I would have used that instead of the waster.
Yeah, yeah, and that's something that they really need to go in. They really need to adjust. We need to have like more ability to buy certain things, more ability to afford those things.
That's
Like
variety.
I'm all for in terms of like factions and upgrades, and I mean that's something I kind of like wrote. But a lot of that stuff has been pretty cool, right? Like in terms
Mm-hmm.
of adjustments, which is cool. It's great. It's sick,
The
right?
faction
Like
system's great as progression. In terms of like
yeah,
the factions versus arc raiders, that's way better. In terms of
yeah,
Tarkov, it's not quite Tarkov level where there's like pages and pages and pages and pages of stuff as you level them up,
yeah.
but it's more gradual. More you pick your upgrades,
Yeah,
and that's its
and you
own
feel it,
reward.
right? You feel
Yeah, you feel
the
the upgrade.
difference,
So,
especially with like Cyber Acme when you initially start, and
mhm,
they did a fantastic job with that.
yeah,
So like in the fact that like okay, cool, it unlocks abilities where I can get claymores and stuff like that, and I do like that. But now let's add where we can get different or more higher tier weapons,
yeah.
maybe within those faction upgrades, because then it gives
Or
again a reason to grind those upgrades too.
as you were saying with the schemas, make the
Yeah.
schemas like blueprints.
Hmm.
Like I don't see the point in me having to go out there and farm and drag out 87 self revive schemas. Just let me get the self revive schema, and then I have unlocked self revives for the
Yep.
season.
Yeah,
You know, because the
and
season's
because
gonna wipe it all
especially if
anyways,
it's rare, yeah,
especially if
if
it's
it's like
rare,
super rare.
and it's gonna wipe. So like, let me find a circuit breaker schema, and then like have the ability to purchase the circuit breaker.
Yeah,
And maybe it resets daily, maybe it's unlimited. I think the
yeah,
daily resets for the purchases is whack. I think it
yeah.
sucks. I I
Or
I think if they're gonna have a timer on it, it should maybe be a couple of hours, like 4 to 6 hours, just so
yeah,
that people in one session aren't going crazy on bringing in a ton of wasters or something into the lobby. But like, if I queue up at 8 a.m. for like 3 games and I buy my wasters, I should be allowed to go spend my money and buy more wasters later. I don't know. I just think it's
yeah.
cringe to put these artificial limitations
No,
in the way.
I agree. I They need a level of work on their economy. They need to adjust it. It needs to sort of be worth our time in terms of what we're putting in. I, for one, in my personal experience, I've yet to really use the armory because a lot of times I run a free kit, I get a kit, and then I build that kit into something else, or I find a bunch of attachments, take that off. A weapon I saved from a couple of kits ago now becomes a purple with all these cool attachments, and that's a lot of sort of what I do. So I even really messed with the making money and selling things, and I hardly ever sell anything because it's like it's not worth the
It's not
money
worth
half the
selling.
time, or I'm just selling all the white tier stuff that just doesn't fit in my vault,
Yeah,
right? And like that's really it. Other than that, it's like and a lot of times too with this ability of like I want to hoard guns more than anything else because of how expensive they are.
and
So then
how
in
impossible to
turn,
find they
I
are.
can't really do anything in terms of like build crafting or building towards my character's implants because I really don't have room for that. And so I think they need to make that level of adjustment with that as well.
Not to mention, you can't even buy cores. You could
Yeah.
buy max 3 cores per day per character. They're different.
Yeah.
So your build craft, your build your own character, play your way is today you can buy The move faster while crouched while invis core, and the while invisible your weapons reload faster core.
Yeah.
That's your build for today. If you're playing
That
assassin, that's it.
that needs to be way adjusted, and this is something that hopefully, right, we're bringing to Bungie's attention to,
Yeah,
hey, let's
I,
figure
I
out
I don't
the
know if they're
new.
scared that when I look at
Yeah.
the store and I see three things to choose from that I'm gonna cry about it. But like, come
Yeah.
on, Bungie. There's like 14 to 15 cores per character. Let
Oh
me
yeah.
buy most of them.
Yeah.
Come on.
I really agree, with that perspective, and moving along to something that, something that we always sort of discuss and we touched on in terms of what we want to see in the future, but it's worth noting because it's such an important part of expression and feeling like your own, right? One is like build crafting and the economy, and
Hmm.
but it's customization.
We're
I
still
you
building
know
too.
I think that, we need to be able to feel unique to these characters. I listen, I skins are cool, and I'm more than I'm the guy that's more than willing. I'll pump a bunch of money into purchasing skins.
I'm
That
not.
being said, it's like I'm not willing to do it too much if it's only one skin per character, and I have to take one skin and I could only use it and apply it to this character, and then I can't adjust it exactly how I want or with whatever color I want.
You can't pick and choose different bits and pieces from different ones
I
that you
understand
bought.
it's like that's how you make money and all, but I think that this is Bungie. Bungie's known for customization from Halo to then Destiny. Even if you want to adopt a Destiny method, which is very doable, like please do it. And I do it as soon as possible because I want to feel attached to, and I get we're just shells that are meant to sort of, we're embodying these robots, so to speak, right?
Yeah, but I
That
can pay
we're
Syak a little extra to give me a cape.
Y-
You
Yeah,
know?
exactly. Exactly. I could still look cool,
Yeah.
and this is, I think, something that they have to lean into. This is something that needs adjustment. All these things I think need to be adjusted as soon as possible within the seasons coming, or just along in mid-season, even before mid-season. Let's just make these changes. But
Hmm.
that's one of those things. Like I want to feel uniquely to me. There's plenty of like cool stuff. Like I have the mastery camo for recon, and I practically have every skin except one for my recon, or two because the cryo skin. And it's like, but there's nothing really I can do with that besides like one run, just this average skin
If
that's
you
been
go and
put together
switch it
for me.
every time that you get out into the lobby, you can wear every skin once a
Exactly.
day.
And it's like, nah, I want to see like the cool USEC, armor piece with recon, with maybe like the sharp head that you can get when you purchase the different helmet. Like
Hmm.
I want that, and or I want the different color options. I want pink and green and all this stuff that I want to be able to adjust. Even if it looks ugly to everybody else, I want to be able to express myself.
Yeah.
And it's a part of, we talk about building this atmosphere of survivability and this intensity and feeling like every run matters. So let me feel like every run matters where I'm playing this character that I expressed as me and I feel attached to this character. And so I'm hoping that that's something that we see later down the line, which then I guess, I mean, we're sort of both in agreement, and for sake of time for people, um, because we
I mean,
touched on
the
that topic
customization,
before.
I'm pretty much on board with. It's what we've been talking about with the
Yeah.
economy
And
and the
then
weapons and all that. Yeah.
there's the thoughts on the original feel, right? Like we kind of briefly touched on this, like the original thoughts of what the game could have been,
Hmm.
and
Gritty.
yeah, this sort of gritty feel, and not just in art, right? I think like I love the vibrancy of the art and all this, but again, I want that survivability. Put me in there. Put me in there, coach. You know what I mean? Where
Yeah.
I'm feeling all the intensity of all the different elements, and it did a certain amount of maintenance, right? With paying attention to these items such as like O2 and all these things. I think is going to be
Hmm.
really important. And now we're getting a night map, and I'm hoping there's some sort of balance with like a battery with a flashlight, almost like a Halo 1 CE style.
See, that would be
And
interesting.
like, yeah.
I think if you reduce the time to kill, that also makes it feel more gritty. when you're
Exactly.
when you're looking at a UESC bot and there's a blue shield bot and it takes you 37 bullets to kill it with your bully, it doesn't feel gritty. It feels like you're playing a game and that's a really important bot. A
Yeah.
gritty game would be like, that's a bot, that's an important guy, I should shoot him first. Maybe he's thick and he's got a shield, so he takes two extra shots to kill and he dies in three, you know? But
Yeah.
like, it doesn't make him, it doesn't feel more gritty and grounded for the boss to take 40 shots to kill, you know?
Yeah.
It just feels like you're
Most
playing a
definitely.
game and that's a boss and you gotta do
Yeah.
it.
I agree with that. You know, I mean, and you just touch on enemy types but before we get, I guess, get into, yeah, like the original feel would have been cool. Like you mentioned, I wonder what the artifacts were originally going to be do
Hmm.
originally going to be. I was curious to see like these sort of these zones
They're supposed
and
to combine
having
them and like,
these explorations and
yeah,
opening new parts of the map, and I was always picturing like maybe it started off like perimeter, and then perimeter gets larger when you open a new section,
we were supposed to
and
get
then it gets
leaderboards.
larger.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and all that stuff sounds super spectacular, and I don't think it's not doable. I think it's very doable
They could
with
still
Bungie.
pivot to that, and they wanted.
Yeah.
Don't forget, they also had the thing where they were like you were saying the monuments in game if you've unlocked an area.
Yeah.
Like, look,
Like
dude, perimeter's small. Let me open up the basements and get the rest of the map, dude. Where did
yeah,
that go?
like a bunker, you know what I mean? That goes like deep within,
There's
and now
there's
there's
a
further
ramp
secret
down
parts.
underneath South Relay that you
Yeah.
just can't get through.
Oh
Like,
my gosh.
what's up
Yeah.
with that? It's all
It's
there are places that are mysteries. Like the thing that's over South Relay, you know that big like walkway that has a door up
yeah.
there. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I could get in that. Why can't I go up there? You know?
I think in one of the relays it is a loot room, like a legendary key room. Uh well, I'd say, but I think like, yeah, or like, I mean, we have that huge space elevator thing, right,
Hmm.
that we're seeing.
Yep.
That's sort of leading up to, and like there can be some deeper sort of exploration into what these particular, what that can do or how that works, or maybe that can teleport us somewhere. And I think there's so much level for and play space for them. Again, you have a whole planet that you from Tau City and a whole mystery that you're setting up and these areas. Let's play into that. Let's dive deeply into these play spaces and this original feel and this gritty feel. There's so much story to tell. And I don't want them to sort of feel confined to, yeah, we just like tiny maps like Perimeter and that's all we want because all we want is to PvP. It's like, no, like, it's okay, if I'm just PvEing as long as there's plenty to explore, plenty to loot, and plenty to sort of worry about and manage at the same time. That's going to cause me to survive. Like, again, I was explaining earlier, if I had that O2 system, and I open this bunker, like maybe I need a ton of oxygen to keep exploring that because of how deep it is. But then it's rewarding at the end because maybe I discover like a new weapon type or something down there that it's a great loot room that I can have that most people can't, or an artifact that you just want to keep going to go after, but you have to be willing to risk a lot. And I
Yep.
think that that would be a lot cooler. And one of the things that you mentioned earlier is enemy types. Like one of the things that, I mean, you mentioned in your video
Oh,
again, shout out to
which
Setup,
enemy types? Plural, you
is
said?
we have the UESC and that's it. And listen, the
The
bots are
ticks
cool
don't
to a
count.
degree. Yeah, and ticks are original, like again, really cool creatures, but like they're pretty easy to kill, and they didn't make them really that scary. Which is, I mean, they're like that in the normal game, which is fine. But I want more. All right, I agree with you in terms of like again, Setup put out this video. He says, "Hey yo, why are we just fighting UESC? Where's the
Where
loot?"
are they?
And when I originally was hoping for this game, I was excited to see the four come back because there's so many different types of four. And if one thing that Bungie does well is enemy types and the uniqueness of fighting them. And some of these characters, yeah, they do interact like really unique, where they'll dodge you, they'll come up and try and punch you, right? There's ones with
Which
the
is so
shield.
funny when they rocket at you to punch you, but
Yeah,
like
there's there was that proxy chat that the one guy had literally the bot repeating him in proxy chat. So like there was like really cool aspects to these characters, but they cannot be the only enemy type. There's so many different types of unique enemies, and UESC is the least scary one.
yep.
It's the least intense one that you could pull. And one of the things that we talked about was this idea that Cryo Archive. You and I were speculating, or at least I speculated with you in the video prior, that we're like, it could be a Battleroid that we're
There's
about to
no way the
see.
final boss is the compiler because they showed it off pre-release, and
Yeah.
Bungie never shows the final boss before the game comes out.
And then bing, 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 it was just the
That was
boss. And
it.
I was like, what? This is a low tier enemy that we're talking about. This fit is never been this heavy high tier. There's like the mind, the what's this called? This one's fit that's
With the
like
controller.
controls all the others fit. Now that's a boss battle. Now that's cool to go against. But not as fit. As fit's just like an average dude.
He's
Like,
just a guy.
he's intense, and I want that level of intensity that this fit can give you, shooting its beam, right?
Yeah, but he's like a
Trying to
green
kill you.
shield bot. That would have been his tier in the OG games.
Yeah, but I should be able to still put him down.
Yeah,
I should feel intense if there's more than one, where you get overwhelmed even in the main game if there's too many,
and
and
I
that's where the intensity
I
comes from.
really thought that they were gonna have the compiler be like a regular enemy on the marathon map, and they were gonna be everywhere. And then the final
Yeah,
boss in the vault would have been something else, like a behemoth
yeah,
or a Hulk or whatever, or even
yeah.
just like hordes of four. If it was hordes of four on the ship when you got to the ship, um,
That would have been
I would be.
crazy.
I mean, I'm already so mad that the map's not available at all times. But if the aliens were on there, I'd be so pissed that I couldn't play Cryo every day because
Yeah,
that
yeah.
would have been so much more interesting than fighting more UESC.
Exactly. And that's something that, I think is it's such a swing and a miss. And I really hope that we're not super drip fed these enemy types, right? Now, I was telling Sato, there's a huge possibility that we're able to, fight these enemies, because the whole Sekaguchi storyline essentially is about making us like the security guard of the original game, like but a better version, because we can keep coming back, and it's creating the serum that makes us as strong as the Battleroid. So we're fingers crossed that eventually it leads to that, but then it kind of leads us to this open end where now what happens with the main villain? Like, now if we start seeing Sfid everywhere, does that area just now become a rush to the last vault, or do we keep this as a specific type of villain, like
Mhm.
this fit that we could always fight it? And then there's just other
And there's
lower tier.
like
Maybe this
just
is just a
worse
Beast Boy
fit.
one.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that there's more, right? We need that. Even if, like, okay, let's say season two, and they start rolling out Sfit in all these different types of map, and now that becomes a common enemy type. And then they start rolling out the foreign forces slowly. If they can do that, I'm all for it. But if it's like I'm only seeing and fighting a older enemy type as a boss, as a reward for the marathon ship, I don't really enjoy that. That's
If
going to become stale.
I clock in for season two and the new enemy they brought in is a UESC recruit, but he's got a Magnum instead of a V11 Volt pistol, I'm gonna quit. That'll be my quitting point.
Yeah,
That's when
yeah.
it's done.
It's there. There just needs to be something, right?
Yeah.
And I'm sure there will be. Again, I'm gonna hold out hope that there's bigger plans. And I mean, it's has been said, at least from all the rumblings and from all the devs, that they said that they are interested in bringing the four back. But it's just like, I'm really hoping for not the drip feed method.
Hmm.
Again, this is a game that people love. Give them a reason to love it even more, and that is going to be paying that homage to these cool creatures, or give us Yarrow, right? These ancient civilization, because
Yeah, just let us fight
we're
God, dude. Level one.
yeah,
Where the
we're
Yarrow
learning
at?
about all the that there's a possibly work Ekanter,
Drop the
which is like
working
that huge.
Caconder, Bungie. You won't. Season
There's
two, working Caconder.
there's this huge thought that could it be in the interior of Tau City that we didn't know about,
Yeah,
because a lot of what we're seeing from the anomaly in Dire Marsh isn't
pretty working
uh
calculatorish.
yeah, it's all Yarrow stuff, and we didn't know about that. They didn't even know about this till this game, right? So
Hmm.
there's a lot that they can play off of. So we want more interesting enemy types. We want this
And
customization,
look,
all
I
this cool
get
stuff.
it if they wanted to start off light to get people into it and then drop the crazy stuff season 2, but that only works if you drop crazy shit season 2.
Yeah,
They're not waiting till season 3. No one's waiting around till season 3. You know what I
yeah,
mean? If
yeah.
season 2 comes out and it kind of just little fart, you know, it'd be rough. There was
Yeah.
some interesting thing on the roadmap that I'm actually going to look at really quick. I don't know if you
Yeah,
remember. Um,
there
there's like
was
a
the Kratos
cradle.
system.
Yeah.
I'm
Um,
like, in my brain, I'm like, is the Kratos system now we get to customize fully the type of abilities?
that's
Maybe
it. It
what
kind
is
of
that?
sounds like it. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
it's either that or something like. Trying to look real quick on my phone to see if I can see it.
yeah.
Um, yeah, it just
The
says
operator still looks UESC, just so you guys know.
it's like new system, the cradle, and it shows one of the silkworms, which makes me
Hmm.
think it's shell related. And if you're going to be
Yeah,
putting a shell in a cradle, it sounds like customization. Now, whether that's
yeah,
customization of the parts or if that's customization of the skill set or something, I don't know.
yeah.
Like unlocking alternate options,
Hmm.
that could be really big. That
Yeah,
could be pretty
I would
great.
love that. I would
If
love
it's
that.
paired with stuff like being able to buy more guns and buying cores, then that sounds cool.
Yeah,
But in terms of Night March is bringing darkness gameplay, it's bringing UESC occupation. Oh no, what could that be like? There's not UESC on Night March, you know what I mean? And a new shell.
yeah,
It sounds good, but like
yeah.
I don't know. If it's
It's
not the rest of the four, or at least one or two four being brought to other maps, I don't know, man. I like we didn't even talk about this. You're gonna have to do the priority quest again next season for the same
yeah.
plot that you did this season.
Well, the thing is, I was a little confused with that because it sounded like I thought that we continued from where we left off.
I don't
So
know.
I'm not entirely sure what that sort of is, and I hope that they dive into, especially now we're getting closer to
You're not
season
supposed to lose
two.
progress on your liaison contracts. So when we log in, we're gonna have all the
Oh, it's just
vendors
that.
unlocked.
Okay.
But if you are we gonna be like skipping ahead? Like, are we getting all new priority contracts with all new quest lines for all the factions?
Yeah.
And then if you're logging in season 2 for the first time, you miss all of the first priority contracts?
I would think that here's how my brain would think, right? Of like how it would be created. Okay, not saying that this is what they're doing, but in my head, how I would do it, it was like whatever you left off on, right? Like if you fully completed all the priority contracts, you get now a whole new layer of new tier contracts to get you to level 30, right? That's how I would think it would work. In that, like, if you hadn't completed those, and let's say you're maybe on the second mission out of the tier and you didn't like complete it, I'm sorry, you're
Yeah.
out of luck. I'm gonna start you off from the beginning again.
Like, I don't know.
That's the only thing I could figure. So that way, new players they're still getting that new experience. But then again, to be fair, how do you do that by getting rid of the UESC if that's integrated with the story? So actually, I just thought about that one. That's a tough one. I don't know how they're gonna do that.
Yeah, it's
Um,
it's weird. But yeah, I just thought about it and I was like, "Oh,
yeah,
say
that's
that."
something that I hope that they adjust. Like,
Uh,
we need more talks on it too, because I don't know how willing people are going to be to do those contracts from the very start again. And again, even if we do start those contracts from the very beginning, and let's say it's all four next season, how do you continue that storyline because it already kind of happened, and there's no UESC? Like some of us like destroy the UESC dropship, and at the same token, I don't want to miss out on all that. Dang it!
Yeah.
But there's no way I was gonna have full time for one season unless I was a streamer to get all that done.
Looking at the uh their thing about season two in the season overview, which is doesn't really say. I'm going further back.
Yeah,
No, this is all the same day. I mean, it just kind of says you will see new contracts every season. It doesn't really
yeah.
say that it resets or not. It might be in a different page, like one of the dev updates, because I'm just looking at the news page. What if I look at
Yeah, there's a lot going on with that for sure.
dev update?
I guess in the meantime, oh, we didn't have any comments for that. I hope you guys are enjoying your time. All sad I was looking at that. I don't want dead air. Uh, but again, I think that there's a lot of questions that we may have, and I do believe that they probably have a better management set of direction now for kind of what they want to start doing, and it's going to slowly start building out as opposed to it was like the three different iterations, right? Iteration one, iteration two, until we finally got to this point. So that's at least a step in the right direction. And let's hope that they continue pushing onward for that particular or in that particular direction of okay, let's maybe either start to put together that original thought process of what we wanted to create, um, and sort of revisit it. I think
Yeah,
that'd be really cool as opposed to them, or they maybe have a different direction that we're not seeing, and it's going to turn out really cool. And because sometimes people don't know what they really want until they get it,
maybe.
right?
But
Was there
I have a
any
feeling what I want.
information that you
I
found
I
on?
didn't find anything that I felt like was
Okay.
worth sharing.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
like, hey,
No.
season two is going to involve a new season of stuff. Where in season two, there's going to be new guns and new
Yeah.
contracts. So look out for every season for new contracts and new stuff.
My thing is too is like, how do we get new guns if like there's no four? Because like there's so many. I mean, there are still so many UESC guns that we haven't gotten.
I
But that
mean,
being
they're 3D
said,
printed, bro. We could find some schematics. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Just
that's
drop a
true. That's
schema,
true.
dude. Just give me some
I still want to use
schemas.
four weapons because that would be
Yeah.
so sick. There's so many cool ones in the original
Um,
game.
a lot of cool four
With
ones. I mean, the
four.
biotoxin injector is kind of like man-made version of the Schvit stuff.
Yes.
Like that's a cool gun, you know.
Yeah.
Um, wish I could see somebody to take it off of them, but I
Yeah.
wouldn't get any
I've yet to
bullets if I
use
did.
it.
You know,
I've yet to ever,
I haven't seen it.
lay eyes on it in
Yeah,
person, which kind of gets into like one of the things is like team play, right? Like, how are we've talked about this idea
teamwork.
of,
Go
yeah,
team.
of the game is heavily built around
Trios.
team
It's
play.
trio
Yeah,
first.
it's true. Yeah. And of which we all knew, right? Everybody
Yes,
knew that they
they,
adding solos
that's what they
into
were
it after
saying
the
really
fact.
early. This is a trio game. Built around
But,
three people.
it is a little disappointing because I don't always have a squad of three.
Hmm.
Never always have a squad of three. And me and Sato were talking about this. I mean, we every time we try a game, it's like,
We're in two
either
duos.
we're two different, yeah,
Yeah,
duos, and it's like we would just be playing on our own with the duo, but we're looking for each other. He's like, "Hey, can you join us?" But I don't want to leave him.
because we don't have a
And
duo queue. Of
because we don't have
course.
duo queue, and I think that it's it's a little disappointing. I mean, we talked about the solo experience. It's like it's okay, but it needs to be better.
Yeah, and I
Um,
and I think I touched on it in the video
yeah,
recently, but
yeah,
the game's built around trios. So a purple bot is designed to be shot by three people. It's supposed to take three people's worth of bullets to kill a purple bot.
yeah,
So when you go play solo, it's like shooting rubber bullets, you know? In a
yeah,
duo, it's still rough, but more manageable in a duo because you're working at 2/3 capacity instead of 1/3. But like, I think the ethos is totally wrong. Where in a hypothetical world, I think the time to kill should be really low, just in general, right? But that I think would cater more towards solos, where the game should be balanced around a solo player experience, so that a solo playing the game can participate and experience the game and fight all the enemies and do the gameplay.
yeah,
Because when you scale trios down to solos, it sucks. But when you scale solos up to trios, it's basically the same experience that the trios are playing right now because nobody is queuing up trios and going, "Oh no, a purple bot. Oh, this is going to take so long. Oh no." No, people are queuing up in trios and
yeah.
they're going, "There's a purple bot." And then they go, "So anyways, where's the PvP?" The only thing that stops you from doing something in PvP is a gold bot or PvP.
Yeah,
No PvE stops you. So what
yeah,
changes if you take the purple bot and give him 1/3 of the health? That's
exactly.
right, nothing, because they're still looking for PvP.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's very true, and I think that that needs to be adjusted for solos. I personally, it's just one of the things. Like I mean, I'm happy they added the self to the solo to a degree, because there's a lot of
Yeah,
times where it's me and the guy we kill each other at the same time, and it's just like, oh, this is embarrassing. And it's
it's
happened to me more than once, where it's like I'm winning my fights, and then
because
he's
everybody
the
has the
last
same
guy.
gun.
Yeah, and we just drop each other same exact timing,
Yeah,
and it's upsetting because then like neither one of us have a self. And I remember commenting to the guy, and I was like, "Well, this is awkward," and we just kind of just scissored each other until we bled out, and like that was it. And at the time too, there wasn't that resing kit where you can heal enemy
the
players
mercy
and all
kit.
that
Yeah,
stuff. And
which like
so
whatever mercy kit, whoop de
yeah,
doo.
I mean, this game, I had a friend, she was like, oh, I'm gonna bring in a mercy kit, and I says, you put that away. We're
You
not
put
saving
that shit
anybody.
back.
Yeah,
We
I was like,
we we follow Arachne here.
yeah.
I love
I
that
was like,
Bungie really psyoped everybody into being an absolute demon by being like, yeah, so there's a faction who's a death cult. They're called Arachne, and they like
yeah.
killing people. And everybody went, "Oh,
So
all right,
murder. You say
murder,
murder? Yes, I like it.
murder."
So I think that in that perspective, it's like a Mercy Kit. I don't know. I'm never really the biggest fan. It's cool. It's an option though, right?
More
People want
options is better.
community.
The issue is that it takes
Yeah,
up so many loot slots and items. I find mercy kits everywhere that used to be something else, and now it's all mercy kits.
and here's something I will say too. I hardly ever see proxy chat. Okay,
Yeah,
for all
true.
the people, I want to say is, I mean, I'm glad it's in the game. Okay, I'm glad it's in the
Yes,
game. I
I
think it
have it
should
on.
have it. Give
I'm
us
I'm
it as a
waiting.
feature.
Yeah,
That being said, all those proxy chat warriors, where were you when the freaking proxy? I hear
they
nobody
they were running
in
into the
proxy
Arachne
chat.
people. Okay.
I'm just murking people. The only time I hear proxy chat is when I kill somebody and they're super angry and they're cursing at me and calling me names, and I'm like, you know what? Thanks. I
I've
mean,
run into
like,
a couple cool voice chat moments. There was a guy in Cryo who queued up with randoms and they DC'd after we killed him. He was like, "Hey guys, hey, my crew DC'd. Can I extract with you?" So we brought him to extract with us. But he fell
yeah.
behind.
Oh,
So we left him, and we took his clearance and everything, so he couldn't activate the terminals after we left.
well, you did him a favor. You put him right back to
We
his
we
friends.
tried.
You
He
know.
fell behind. It's not our fault. He fell behind. He
Listen,
followed us around for like 5 minutes while we looted. We
yeah.
hit up one of those high security rooms, Panopticon. Gave him some stuff. We're like, yeah, man, you want
And
to go
let's
with
be
us? And
honest
then he fell
too.
behind. But
with the crew fill
it's fun.
experience as well, like I don't care. If it's me and one other person, that third person that we crew fill is the worst person I've ever met. They don't know what they're doing. They have no direction. They kind of want to go off in their end
Yeah,
and then leave us on our own, or they take shots when we're not ready to fight, getting us killed, or they keep pulling that freaking mother freaking that crate that like alerts and spawns a bunch of enemies, and it's just they're not worth ever really, you know, filling. I never liked crew filling. I hate it. It's never been a good experience for me
yeah.
since
I
the beta,
think
to be quite honest.
it's not a substitute for making solos
Yeah.
balanced.
And the biggest balance that I think that needs to be seen, and I think it's like you're saying, and people will go crazy, whatever. And but I got your back on that one. Is the shields? I think that
Yeah,
it's crazy the fact that like we don't have shields, or like we need to reduce it. I mean, it's
yeah.
just like it's crazy. I want a leveled playing experience, and the interest of it is do I take this fight because this guy can just as easily kill me as I can kill him, as opposed to, oh no, full stack of purples.
I think it's
What kind of game?
crazy that people complained that the waster two shot purple shields. Oh no, the waster two shots purple shields. We're gonna have to nerf it, and then it goes to, well, now everybody has a purple shield, and I can't do anything about it. What did
Yep.
you want? What you
Yeah.
asked for this? They gave you an equalizer by level 7 that would let you kill anybody in the game. You could kill anyone. It didn't
Yeah.
matter what they had, and you said, "Get rid of that, please."
Now, I will say this in terms of
Please.
attachments, they are beneficial. But one
Yeah,
thing that I will give kudos is even if you have a gun with no attachments, you could still get by.
yeah,
And so
they
I
still
do like
work.
that. That's one thing that I hated about Ark is like you can't get by. But with
The
the
upgrades
person that
actually
has
increase your
guns,
DPS in Arc.
yeah. Yeah, exactly. And I don't like that. It's just like I want to, it's just attachment and how my gun feels in place,
Mhm.
not how strong it is.
Yeah, quality
And
of life.
so to me, I enjoy that more. So I kudos to Bungie. And I mean, we talked about factions and upgrades and we discussed our sponsor kit. Well, we actually
Well, we
haven't
didn't talk about
touched
the
too much of the
playlist.
playlist.
Actually, while we're talking about the playlist, before we do, I actually do like that they increased the number of green and blue med kits. I don't know if you've noticed that patch. It was like a week or two ago. They made it so that instead of
No.
getting three of the whatever daily green kit is, you can get 10 of them now.
Awesome.
For every faction that you have it unlocked for. So like the one that's daily, and then if I go to Arachne, I've got the Arachne green one and the second gen green one. You can buy
That's awesome.
10 each per day, and then the blue
Fantastic.
one I think went from one per day to three per day for the 10K. And the 4K one is like 10 per day or something like that, up from two.
Bravo. The
Um,
stacks of ammo are cool, allowing us to stack in the vault. They
yeah,
did a
that was
lot of
cool.
good fixes, and patches that really fit, and I thought were phenomenal. And I do applaud them on that. I will say that. But again, this is not just about applauding. We gotta
Because we got to talk about the
constructively
sponsor kit
criticize because I
playlist.
want the success of this game. So I need to be willing to come to terms with things that need to
Talk
be adjusted
trash about the trash that's got to
and
get
what
taken
needs to be
out.
fixed.
Get rid of
And
this
the sponsor
Garbo.
kit playlist, it was held as something that was super positive, right? Like you were saying,
Yeah, toss
people
it.
loved it a little bit too much. First off, I don't like the fact like I don't want that as a continuous like a an event. I don't want
People are
it.
just playing Rook, bro. I played
Yeah,
Rook to get that experience, man. Come
yeah,
on.
I normally do free kit anyway, and I come out like with against a green shield dude, and then I kill a blue shield dude, and I
Yeah,
got a blue shields with a free kit, mind you. It's just like, listen, I got this. Don't like have some faith in me. But like you were saying, it really does pull to that argument of people. It's more or less not about the free kit that they liked. They liked the fact that it was easier to
it's
PvP.
the
It made
PvP is more
sense. Everybody's
balanced
same level. It's balanced. And yeah, that is true. And I agree with that. And I hope that they take that away from the experience. And I hope that that's what they were looking at.
Yeah, I
because
would love to see them drop a patch for season two and be
yeah,
like, yeah, we're gonna like knock shields in half and see what happens. I'd be like, sick. Sounds
yeah,
sick.
I'm excited. We don't need them.
Yeah.
And last but not least, because we're rounding our 2 hour,
Yep, hitting our
is
2 hour
Cry-
mark. I gotta
excuse me.
I gotta be up early tomorrow, so we're wrapping it up
Yes,
early today at
is
2 hours.
Cryo Archive. We
We kind of lightly
I
talked about cryo today, just in
yeah,
general, but
it.
now that it's
I
out,
love it. I think it's really cool. That being said, I haven't had a lot of time on it.
I'm in a love hate relationship with the map.
Yeah,
I love the architecture of the map. I love the design. The being in cryo archive gives me the same vibes as being in Marathon 1, running through the rat nest, you know, getting to those sections where you're like, how the hell does this stuff connect and why is it a rat nest? And I can only see 5 feet in front of me. Also, there's a guy there shooting at me. Where am I? What's happening? It feels like that all the time. Love it.
yeah,
Control's a nice big open area, but the main like puzzle of how to navigate it and get the clearance, love it. I hate how much PvP there is in there. I think it's too much PvP. I actually
yeah,
really liked. I thought about the same thing, but I liked. I think in the podcast Escape Maybe Pod. I don't know if it was Scarrow or the other guy or if it was Jake. But I think I was talking about with Jake earlier, like 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. If there was like one or two less teams, hell, I'd even take a two teams on the map, and you're 1v1ing for control of the map would be a better experience because I actually really think Cryo Archive would do awesome as a super PVE heavy map. If
yeah,
it was like triple the PVE spawns and one other team, and you guys meet only in control, would be super cool.
yeah.
And I
For
wouldn't feel so
control
bad getting
message.
crashed. Yeah, exactly. Um, I think it is a shame that it's only available for 3 days a week, 3.5 days a week, whatever. Um, I would play it all week if it was up. The 3 days that it's up are generally not my gaming days. Thursday, Friday, Saturday is not really my gaming time. I'm more of a
Yeah,
Sunday and maybe early in the week. Sometimes there's time, but like I spend most of the week saving for cryo, and then I miss cryo, so I'm not going to play next week because I already have my stuff for cryo.
yeah,
So I'm waiting for cryo to come around for me to play it, and I gotta get 3 people, which is
yeah.
the other hard part. Like
It's
we need three.
yeah. That's the tough portion as well for me. It's like I never really I never really had time to grind it.
Hmm.
Have been focusing faction stuff and a lot of the codexes because I was going to be working on videos and all this sorts of stuff for the lore. Um, but I haven't had enough time, and it is a shame because I do want to experience the map. I want to learn the map. That's a huge part of the experience of any new map, especially for extraction or battle royale, and multiplayer in general. Is
Hmm.
learning the map, understanding do's and don'ts, and all the sight lines is really important. But I can't do that when I'm limited time to run it. I only need 3 people, and could only go in at 3 people and that's it.
And you have to have a
I'm all
minimum value, and the minimum
yeah,
value is 5K, which means you have to spend 30K on the loadout because
yeah.
it's 1/5 value.
So
And so you're
there's
sitting
got to
there.
be
Sometimes I'm sitting there and I've got like 100K credits, and I'm like, what the hell am I gonna buy to hit 5K? Because I bought a bully, I bought a sniper, I bought my backpack, and I'm like 4K, and I'm like, I'm kidding. I've
yeah,
got a full loadout, and it's
yeah.
like I don't know. Jake was bringing in bronze holo tags for ranked because they count as 500, so it's a great way to bump up
Oh
your
my
your your
gosh.
your money. But like I don't know. I like the buy-in on premise, but going back to the economy, the customization options, they don't give us enough stuff to buy to consistently hit that and feel like I'm buying something that's worth it. Like I don't like buying 4 extra stacks of meds just to queue. Like give me an SMG that costs more than the bully. That's better than the bully that I can buy.
Yeah.
Why is the meta so cheap?
Yeah, they need to definitely make an
The
adjustment
tweaks. They
with
need
that as
tweaks.
well, and tweaks,
I
just
think I think
tweaks.
a lot of the tweaks could change it because all they have to do is put something in the shop is flip a switch, right?
Yeah,
Just tweak it. We already have the values. Take the money for the sell value and just tweak everything. I don't even. They can double it to 40%, which is less than my 50%. But I think even 40% would feel way better on terms of like how much money you're making per match. So just tweak it, tweak what you can buy. We'll see, and then tweak maybe the player count on trial, like we
yeah,
are saying.
most
But
definitely. These
well,
are all the changes
just
that we're
little
hoping for, what we want. And that being said,
hopes and
I think
dreams.
that we covered a lot of it, and at the end of the day, this is meant to be constructive. This is meant to hopefully help adjust the game, give some
Yeah.
ideas out there, push for what we want to see in the future from this game. I'm sure that there's a lot of you that enjoy the game, but you have your own reasons as to why you stepped away, or maybe you want to come back at some point, or what you're waiting for.
Hmm.
And I say, like, keep on the hope, right? And keep on playing the game. It's still a fun game. Even if it's not a ton of time that I even get on it myself, I still try and play it as much as I can and enjoy the heck out of it, right? And let's yeah, I think it's sort of lead with positivity. Still, I know some people get doom and gloom out there.
I forgot. I forgot something I didn't like that I wanted to bring up because it's one of my biggest
Oh, yeah,
complaints about the immersion
go ahead.
thing. That
Yeah.
HUD. Oh my god, I hate the
Oh,
HUD. The HUD is on my
honestly,
nerves, dude.
I'm not gonna lie. HUD doesn't really bother me. I don't really get much in my face, so I'm not.
I
I
if
don't know.
if you got rid of it, I would feel like I'm taking blinders off. Have you played without the HUD on? Have you tried it?
No, no, I haven't played
It's
with.
the game looks totally different when you don't have a HUD on. It's not built for that, right? So you can't see your ability
Yeah,
cooldowns. You have no way of knowing what's off cooldown. You can see
yeah,
your health and stuff in your tab menu. You can see the timer on the map, your orientations on there.
yeah.
But like if you're playing Blackbird, you can't wall hack because the wall hacks are pings and the pings are HUD. But like
Oh,
all of the red pop-ups, the icons over the players that are this big, and it shows their shield, a big thing, and then you ping, and it stays in the world forever. And then you got
right.
all the quests that are this big, takes up this much of your screen with quests, and then you've got my fucking cooldowns here that are this big. And for some
Yeah.
reason, you can see your knife in your inventory on the bottom right at
Yeah,
all
now the
times.
knife is
Why
great.
the hell is my knife there? I know I
Yeah.
have a knife. I can't unequip it. Like, I don't need to
Yeah.
see all my teammates' health bars. If it faded when you didn't need
Yeah.
it, it would be nicer. I feel like there's plenty of room to incorporate a lot of that stuff just into the game. Like
Yeah.
every gun should just have a bullet counter on it.
For me, it I don't know. It really not too bothersome. Maybe I'm just used to HUD like that with games nowadays. It's just like
But that's the thing that
I don't know.
made it not immersive to me is that I know I'm playing a game because I've got all this HUD I'm looking at. That's kind of
Okay.
what Jake
That
was talking about when
part,
I was talking about it was
yeah,
like when you go into ranked and you've got your HUD up and you got your points that you're getting your points for your things, you got to make the bar go green so you can make the bar go up because bar go up is good. And I'm like, yeah, it doesn't feel like I'm surviving. It feels like I'm playing Galaga on the
yeah.
arcade machine. You know?
I guess that's definitely a how would you say a fair point for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't really thought about it too much, to be quite honest.
I think you should queue up like with a free kit or on Rook and just do it without the HUD on for like a game or two. It's
Yeah,
gonna feel really weird. It's not made for it. It's definitely ass. But if they just worked on it a little bit and tweaked it, like
yeah,
it feels more like you're on edge because you don't have
yeah,
the 3D wall hacks and everything flashing in your face going, there's something happening over there. Did you hear that? It's pinged on your map, you know? But
yeah. I guess that's fair. That's for sure. It's fair. But yeah, no. I mean, I think that for me, that's a lot of my thoughts and my sort of concerns. A lot of what we talked about. I mean,
I did a lot of complaining last week, so I'm
yeah,
good.
yeah.
Um,
A lot of it was me catching up, and I was like, I was like, well, it's been some time. Hopefully, it's not a lot of time in between the next episode.
Hopefully
Um,
not.
but I'm sure that maybe
Got
it
to be
might be
close to a
around season
reveal.
two. Yeah,
We got to be
or
close to
some
some kind of
reveal.
season 2 trailer
So
or
maybe
what
when
the
we get
cradle system
something
is.
new, we'll do a new episode and sort of
Maybe,
talk
or
about,
maybe if we get to play duo sometime.
yeah, hopefully we get to stream a duo. Oh
Yeah,
my
hopefully,
gosh,
maybe,
we've
I don't
been
know.
needing to play together. We haven't played together all season.
Yeah, we're just always in
But
duos, or you got a stack, and I'm like, oh, I'll just go to
something,
bed, I guess. You know,
yeah. So we're gonna figure that out, guys, as well. We'll get
soon,
to it
soon.
at some point, so please, bear with us. I'm happy you guys are watching per usual. Leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section down below. We all love to hear from you, whether you agree or disagree. Let's just at least be kind to one another. Thanks.
Yeah, if you
Uh,
super thanks $3, I'll make Justin voiceover whatever you type.
yeah, that
And we'll
would be
post
fun.
it as a short. How's that?
Yeah. If you guys start donating during the stream, huh?
Yeah, there we go.
Just know that when you pop in and we're live, feel free. We love to
We love
talk about your
commenting on the
comments. I mean, look,
comments.
Alpha, Silverback man over there commented, and we stood on that for like a good 20
A good
minutes
20 minutes on his 3 sentences. We did really good
of
on
a
that.
discussion. But
We're not time wasters here.
yeah,
Every
no,
second is very important. All right.
it counts, and we use it all.
While I'm Google
So we
searching
appreciate it.
what the season pass was, you know.
So, please again subscribe if you like all these videos to
Yes.
Shadow's channel. You'll see them
You can
all
sub down
there. And
below. Justin's will
yes,
be down
yes,
there, so you can go over to
mine will
his
be
and
there
subscribe
down
over
there
there.
too. Yep,
Lore
we'll
coming
always
up.
be in the little collaborations tab. So if you even want to subscribe to me
Thank
as
God for
well,
the
we'll be
collab
there.
thing.
It's so cool.
It's great.
So again, we appreciate you guys looking. Any new projects for me? I don't know yet. It's been a lot of time. I had a project I was working on, but then it kind of got a little sidelined because there's other stuff that might be working. Can't spoil anything. I
Yeah,
gotta wait.
yeah.
But collaborations, we still might do our synergy video. I just thought about that. So,
Mayhaps.
and
We gotta see. I'm sitting here thinking how mad I am that I have to save all my shit for cryo, and I don't play cryo, so I never
yeah,
use it. And I'm just sitting here
yeah,
fuming about my 3 demolitionists in my vault. And I'm like, if this map was
yeah,
available all time, I wouldn't have this problem. Or if the map
yeah.
wasn't in the game at all, I wouldn't have this problem. But here I am wanting to go to
Something.
cryo. You
There'll
know.
be something. So please, again,
So
like, subscribe. We love you guys. That's it for
thanks very
me.
much for joining today, everybody. We'll see you all again very soon.